who's on your team now, right? And if you start with who's on your team now and you extrapolate out, you'll do more, you'll get better, but you might not get as good as you could if you didn't articulate the end game. So when you have that articulation, this is what it's going to look like. These are the problems. Now you can go, wow, this is a problem that nobody on the team knows how to solve. That's who you hire, right? And so now you haven't written a job description, because job descriptions are dumb. I mean, I'm in recruiting. Here's what job description is. It's either a description of somebody who left that you wish hadn't, a fantasy person that doesn't exist, or whatever it takes to get it approved. None of those are who you hire. You want to hire somebody who can solve this problem that you have in a fairly short amount of time. And so now when you're recruiting, you're not only recruiting for somebody who's qualified, but you're recruiting for somebody who goes, oh man, I'd love to do that. The other thing is it leaves you open to a lot of different ways of solving the problem, because otherwise what people tend to do is say, I want to hire somebody with these qualifications and I want them to be really smart and quick on their feet and intelligent and charismatic, like someone like me, maybe me 10 years ago. And that's who you hire. And like hires like, hires like, hires like. And then you wonder why you don't have any diversity and any diversity of thought, and you don't have anybody who knows how to solve a problem that nobody in the team already knows how to solve. Okay, so that's how you figure out who to hire. In the same way, sometimes when you do those problems, you realize, oh, the team I have is not the team to do that. So here's my Netflix story. We'd grown 30%. This is after where things are going good, right? This is probably around 2010, right? And
at this point, you've been there 13 years.
Yeah, I've been there a long time. Our team is really tight. We're rocking it, man. This reads on the cover of Fortune. He's CEO of the year. Stock has grown. You know, the business has grown 30% quarter over quarter, 3 quarters in a row. I mean, we're awesome, right? So we do a session at our executive staff, and I said, what if this kept up? Like, because Reed always wants to do disaster planning. I'm like, why don't, just for once, like, what if it kept up? So CFO goes to the whiteboard and he does top line revenue, 30%, and so he starts doing that happy dance that CFO, I mean, can you imagine, for those of you who are the finance people, you'd be like, oh yeah. So Ted, our head of content, at the time we would say to ourselves, someday we'll be as big as HBO. Someday. And Ted looks at the number and he goes, it's next year, right? And we just looked at each other like stunned. And Neil, who is our head of product, said, I think that's 1/3 of the US internet bandwidth. I think we could be streaming 1/3 of the US internet bandwidth. And we all just kind of looked at each other like, what? So he and I get together, I'm like, do we have anybody that knows how to do that? He goes, no. I'm like, can we do that in our data center? Oh, no, it must be in the cloud. So we sit down with our IT team, and these guys are amazing. They're amazing. And we lay out the problem, and they're like, no worries. You go exec something, and we'll build a cloud. And I said, you know what? If there's any people in the room, anybody on earth that could do that, it's probably you guys. Not in 9 months. We couldn't stand up the servers, right? We couldn't lease the physical space and buy the equipment and do it. And so one of the people in the room said, I've been here for 7 years. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. Are you telling me I might not be on this team? And I said, yeah, I think that's what I'm telling you. And but we got 9 months to figure it out. And you know, even though people didn't like that answer, it was true. And I've worked with engineers forever, and engineers think the world is good or bad, right or wrong, black or white, 0 or 1, right? So it was like, I'm not sure I like that answer, but I can't deny the truth of it. And so what the aha of that lesson is, it's your job, if you're running an organization, to field the team that can win. And you never want to let the talent or lack of talent in your organization come between you and what success looks like.